You're listening to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast, episode 31.
Maybe my purpose was somewhere else, that I didn't really want to keep living in that stressful corporate environment. That's when I decided to start, going on my own. But all that time, I wasn't thinking clearly. It was like too much of a desperation thing.
You're listening to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast.
Life purpose, spirituality, higher calling, personal growth, meaningful life.
We ask the deep questions about living a balanced life of meaning, purpose, and joy.
Passion, know thyself, be mindful, spiritual practice, aha moments, life lessons, balance.
It is time to welcome your host, Angie Swartz.
Today I'm really excited to speak with Bree Noble. Bree is an entrepreneur, musician, and a speaker, and she founded Women of Substance Radio, an online radio station that promotes quality female artists in all genres, in 2007. She launched the Woman of Substance music podcast, which promotes independent female artists. She draws on her extensive experience running her own music business, both as a solo musician as an industry professional, to train and mentor other female musicians. Hello, Bree. I'm very excited to talk to you about this very niche topic that you have.
Hey, Angie. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. I have never worked in the music industry, so I'm very excited to learn about your story and about your business and what you do.
Cool.
So you have a passion for featuring women entrepreneurs who are musicians, is that right?
I do. There are so many fabulous independent artists out there that are just not getting the airplay that they deserve. So once I discovered these artists, I just really had a passion for exposing the world to their music, because there're just so many good people that you don't hear on the radio. You hear kind of all the same stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of sad that we hear the same exact thing
I know.
on every radio station. So yes, please do tell me a little bit about you personally.
Sure. Well, I am actually a mom of an 11-year-old. I guess she's almost 12. She's going to be 12 in 2 weeks. 12-year-old and a 6-year-old, 2 daughters. I live up in the mountains near Yosemite, which I absolutely love. It's great to be in a profession where I can live wherever I want, because I used to be down in LA and, having to deal with the whole rat race and the traffic. And I'm so glad to be able to live up here and not have to be locally to LA to be able to do what I love. So other than that, I have been a musician for a very long time, and I had a solo musician career, and now I'm mostly focused on working online, promoting other artists and helping other artists to move their career to the next level. And, I just kind of wanted to be home with my kids, so I wanted to not stop touring and do something that I could do from home while also being involved in the music industry.
Right. Our children certainly push us in different directions, for sure. Tell us a little bit about your music career. Were you out on the road? What did you do?
I started, I'd been trying to find my niche in the music industry for a while, and I didn't actually find my niche or what I should be doing until my daughter was 2, my first daughter. So once I started going out and performing, and I had a program that I performed for a lot of women's groups. And so I would tour to a lot of churches, nonprofit organizations, community groups, a lot of moms groups. And I toured mostly in California. I did tour some in Oregon. And I would basically drag my daughter with me because she was preschool age, and, so I could go whenever I wanted and take her. And I did that for several years. And then once I got pregnant with my second daughter, that was actually my busiest year because, as you perform, you get busier and busier. People hear about you word of mouth. And so in 2008, I was super busy with touring and realized I can't do this anymore. I'm 8 months pregnant. I need to put a stop to this. So, and, after I had her, having 2 kids and my other daughter was in kindergarten, it just started to be harder to go out and tour. So I mostly did local events, and I still do that when people call me, but, mostly focusing on my kids and just kind of moving in a different direction with my music. But everything that I learned being a touring musician and creating the program that I did and booking myself, I'm hoping to impart to other artists and help them.
What a great calling. What kind of music do you sing?
I mostly sing inspirational Christian music. You know, it's not all specifically Christian, but a lot of it is just because it's based upon my own personal testimony. And, you know, so when you're writing music, it's hard not to write about what's important to you. So a lot of what comes out is Christian music, but I do pop, acoustic. I'm a keyboard player, so it's a lot of piano-based kind of singer-songwriter style.
This might be too last minute, but could I talk you into singing a few notes for us?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, you know, I've been suffering from allergies, so we'll see how this goes. One of my best experiences was being able to sing the national anthem at Dodger Stadium, which was awesome, like in front of 60,000 people. So
what an honor.
Why don't I sing a little bit of that? I'll sing... And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. I'll save the end.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I can feel your energy in my body when you're singing that. So powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So tell me about your own life purpose. Do you know what it is?
I do. I feel like, and this really it came to me over time, but I feel like my life purpose is helping people to find their passion, live their passion, and live it authentically. The authentic part has been something that has come to me over time and was not easy. And I think it's not easy for a lot of people because you're kind of afraid of how people are going to see you if you really expose your true self. And I feel like you can't really live your passion unless you're living authentically.
That's such an astute comment. Can you give an example of the times in your life when you didn't feel like you were being authentic?
I'd say about the first 10 years of my music career. I'm convinced why I never really had a breakthrough, because I was trying to fit into someone else's mold. You know, I was constantly looking for bands to be in, looking for people to collaborate with, because I was too afraid to strike out on my own and be my own person in music and write music about my own life. I just felt too uncomfortable about that. And so I was constantly trying to find a situation where, you know, I was going to kind of ride on some other people's coattails and, you know, be in a band that was going to become successful and I was going to be a part of it. And when I finally realized that going out on my own and, you know, writing songs about my life and being my own person as a musician was the way I needed to go, that was when I started to find real success and find a vision for my career instead of just hopping from one thing to another, hoping that that's going to be the big thing.
Mm-hmm. And do you recall what age that was?
That was, well, my daughter was 2, so I was 32.
Okay. And so before that, before age 32 in your life, you were working hard at it, but just not going anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I was in a group in college that toured, and that was a really good experience. And I should have learned from that, you know, kind of how to be my authentic person, because we were asked to do that a bit. And I did open myself up a little bit, but after college, you know, you just kind of all of a sudden you're in this vacuum. Like you had all this support and now you're just like thrown out into the world and you don't know what in the world to do with this talent that you have. You know, and you're young and you move to a new place, you don't know anybody around you, and you just start like looking in the recycler trying to find musicians to team up with. And it just, so many band experiences that I had ended badly.
What's the definition of that?
Lots of drama, you know, people not getting along, not having the same vision for the band, you know, people just flaking out. And so finally, out of frustration, really is how I struck out on my own. And then I realized that was where I needed to be all along for so many reasons.
Did you have other hints in your life other than that one, that what your purpose was?
I did. I knew that I had been working as a director of finance at an opera company. So that was kind of fun because I got to use my music knowledge in a different way. But just the stress of that environment kind of showed me that, you know, maybe my purpose was somewhere else, that I didn't really want to keep living in that stressful corporate environment. And so when I finally broke away, I felt so much freedom. And that is where, you know, that's when I came up with Women of Substance. That's when I decided to start, you know, going on my own. But all that time, for that 10 years, I was working in corporate America and trying to do music on the side. And I think I just didn't have that clarity because I was so desperate to like make a career out of music so I could move out of corporate America that I wasn't thinking clearly. It was like too much of a desperation thing.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very, very common. You mentioned Women of Substance. Can you just explain what that is?
Yes, that is the radio station that I started in 2007. I started it because once I started touring, I started meeting a lot of independent female artists, and they were just so talented that I just started out wanting to, you know, give them a little plug, and kind of really started out as like, I want to listen to these people myself. And I learned that I could make an online radio station and listen to the music that I liked. And I thought, well, why not, you know, get this out there and, you know, find these people that are good and get their music into the ears of other people that would like to hear it just like I do. So that was, you know, when I started that, I had already quit my corporate career. I was home with my kids, and I was touring as a musician during that time. And so that's where I got the idea for that. And then it eventually, in just this last year, 2014, expanded into a podcast, which has really opened the doors of having, because with radio, you know, it's on and it's done. Like if you don't listen to it, if you miss it, it's over. Whereas with a podcast, it's evergreen. It's online forever. And I try to get this through to my artists. A lot of them don't quite understand podcasting yet. And the difference is that their content is online forever, and they can keep promoting that and sending their fans there, and they can listen to it.
Right, right. How does one go about starting an online radio station?
Well, I started with a company called Live 365 because that's where I heard about it to begin with, and they still have a lot of stations on there. But I eventually kind of grew out of them, and just last year moved into a different platform that was a lot more robust. It allowed for advertising. You know, you just kind of, I got into it slowly. I said, well, I want to start this station. How much is it going to cost? And I figured out how to cover those costs. And then once that was, you know, doing well, then I decided, how can I grow this? And it certainly wasn't something that I thought, I'm going to make a huge business out of this. I just thought this would be kind of fun to do on the side. And it caught on and it grew, and it's been really exciting.
I love that. Can we talk about spirituality?
Sure.
Can you tell me what your spiritual or your religious beliefs are?
Absolutely. I'm a Christian. I believe that, Christ died for us to save us from our sins. We're all pretty much screwed up, and thank God that, that we have that salvation to restore us. That is a lot of what my songwriting is about. I have, 3 different CDs, and all 3 of them are spiritual in some way. When I write songs, that's usually what comes out, because I realized how screwed up I am, how many trials that I have to deal with, and how can I get through this life without knowing that there's that hope.
Sure. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you think that your religious beliefs play a role in keeping your life purpose alive? Definitely.
I mean, I do feel like I have a purpose that God has given me. I think everybody has a purpose. We're not just here for no reason. And finding that's the hard part. And so, yeah, I definitely, if I didn't feel like there was a higher calling somewhere, it would be hard for me to stick to my purpose, because, music isn't the easiest business to be in. I could have picked something easier.
Well, I'm sure it will be easy at some point in your life, for sure. So tell me about how you got to know yourself better. Did you use any tools or any teachers, any books, anything out there?
I do now, but in the beginning, getting to know myself, there was a time period where I got really sick. I had some terrible health problems. I was in the hospital, and just having that time basically where I couldn't do anything because I was stuck in a hospital bed, and really seeking and praying about what my purpose is. I guess I had never really thought about it in depth, but when you're in the hospital and you're not sure you're going to get out, you start thinking about what you're going to do when you get out and how you're going to do things differently. And that's where I was at. And that's, where I did spend a lot of time reading some Bible verses that resonated with me at that time, and praying. And, of course, then the floodgates of the songwriting got turned on in that situation, which is great because a lot of times songwriting can be healing. And so, just that experience really set me forth on my purpose and the whole thing about being authentic. I realized, what's the point of going through life not being authentic? It's like living in the shadows.
Yes.
If I'm going to be granted this second chance, I'm going to get out of the hospital, then I want to live fully and authentically.
Do you think that there was a purpose for you being, what was your illness, if I might ask?
I have Crohn's disease.
And do you think that that was related to pushing you into a bigger direction?
It's hard for me to say, I have a hard time saying that, God gives you the suffering, but I think we can use the suffering, or he can use the suffering for good. I do think that, the whole Crohn's disease thing started when I was working as at the opera as a finance director, and it was a very stressful job, and stress can really exacerbate it. And so I think just the whole thing, the way things played out, of me having to go into the hospital several times over about 2 years, and, that stress kind of pushing me there, and me realizing it's time for me to quit my job. And, that just all of that kind of worked together for me to find my purpose in music and being authentic and speaking, because my program, when I went to women's groups and moms groups especially, was talking about being authentic and dealing with trials in your life and how to face those. And I would never have been able to do that if I hadn't have been through that experience.
It's so interesting how life works in these purpose paths that we're all on. So now, do you have a daily practice that keeps you connected and centered?
I do. I've just, in 2015, just started this, and it's been awesome. I get up, believe it or not, at 4 a.m. because I want to have this time to myself to do the things that really center me in the morning, and that involves some prayer, some visualization of where I want to be going, like that day, and also, for the future where I see myself, a little exercise to get my body going, and then maybe a reading of either something spiritual or something business related that's going to motivate me. And then I go into my launching of my working on social media for that day's podcast, all before the kids get out of bed. So that's why the 4 a.m. thing.
That's a big morning. So what time does that mean you go to bed at night?
I usually get to bed by 10.
So about 6 hours of sleep.
6 hours, yeah. Sometimes it's 9 if I'm super tired that night. But, on the weekends I allow myself to sleep in. But that's usually my weekday schedule.
That is a busy morning, very early morning.
It is.
I commend you. Do you think that synchronicity plays a role in your life? Do you think that certain things, when you sit down and think about your intentions, do you think that things show up in your life that are there for you to take advantage of? Coincidence?
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely a lot of things like that. If you get maybe into a specific group that you're working with, there's so much synchronicity that happens there in ways that you wouldn't expect, like, with podcasters or with musicians, that you can find those. Like, for example, I've found a great accountability partner that I didn't expect to find where I found her. And it was just total coincidence that we were kind of doing a similar thing. And it's really been a major blessing to have that conversation once a week. It really keeps me on task. And I never sought out to find that kind of a relationship.
It just showed up for you?
It just kind of showed up. And I just kind of was like, wouldn't it be, let's talk about, it seems like we're doing kind of the same thing. You want to have a conversation? And it just kind of grew into this thing that we've really been keeping each other on task and supporting each other in different ways. And it was not something that I expected.
And where did you meet her?
Actually, in Podcasters Paradise.
Very nice. Podcasters Paradise is a mastermind group that Bree and I are both members of. About 1,500 wonderful people out there doing amazing work. Can I ask you about money?
Sure. What do you want to know?
Do you feel like you make more or less money now that you're aligned with your purpose? Does it matter? Have your values changed?
Well, definitely with the music career side, I definitely made more money once I was aligned, because I was just kind of throwing my music out there. I didn't have a plan, and I didn't have a focus and a vision for it. And so once I did, and I created the program that I did, I was able to book myself. Before, I'd be like really clueless about how to book myself at churches or organizations. And so I was able to figure out a way to sell myself that made sense while also aligning myself with my purpose. Like, what I love about Women of Substance is, my purpose with that is really to promote other artists and just, really expose their music to the ears that need to hear it. And I'm actually able to benefit from that. Like, just my working on promoting their music is actually helping me, which is what I love about it, because it's growing my podcast, and they're promoting it to their fans. And, it's just this like spiderweb effect that is in the end helping me grow my business.
Give to receive.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And is it helping you in other ways? Is it helping with your singing career?
Well, my singing career is kind of on hold, but yeah, I have a lot of contacts because of Women of Substance. So I know a lot of PR people and record label people. And, so when I do want to do something or go to a specific area and see if there's any chances to perform, I definitely have the ability to reach out to those people that I wouldn't have otherwise.
So just spending your time developing a platform and a network.
Yes.
Very nice. Have you ever encountered resistance from friends or family regarding what you're doing?
It's kind of funny. Like, most people just don't understand it. Like, people in my family are not in the music business. And my husband really doesn't get it. He's always like, why would anyone want to listen to that station? I'm like, people like good music. But why? He doesn't get it because he just turns on whatever in the car. He's not passionate about particular kind of music, but he's totally supportive. And he's finally starting to see how I've been growing it to a point where he can recognize and see that, yes, it is a real business. But a lot of people, people in my family, they don't know what a podcast is. They wouldn't know how to listen to it. It's just, it's educating. That's been my problem.
Mm-hmm.
But they're definitely behind my purpose. And as far as my music career, they've all definitely been behind it. And, all my family and friends have come out and support me and help book me different places, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's always good to have our personal board of directors around
right.
us, all those people that are helping us take care of our lives. Can I ask you a lightning round of questions,
Sure.
please? So, short answer, yes or no. Do you think passion and purpose are the same things?
I think they're very closely related.
Thank you. Do you think everyone has a purpose?
I do.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how important is following your joy and igniting your life purpose?
I would say 10.
Did you ever quit your job to follow your purpose, and do you think somebody needs to quit?
I don't think they need to quit, but I think they will get more clarity if they do, as I said earlier. But I didn't quit because of that.
Okay. What brings you great, great joy?
What brings me great, great joy is helping and promoting other musicians. It really does bring me great joy.
That's a good sign that you're in line with your purpose, huh?
Yes.
If you unexpectedly amassed a good-sized fortune, what would you do differently?
Oh, boy. Okay, the first thing I would do is I would get an assistant/chauffeur. Reason being is I can't drive because I have low vision, so it would make my life a lot easier. That'd be the first thing I would do. Secondly, I think I would give money to my church so we can build a new, larger building, and probably give some money to my mom's nonprofit where she helps people with visual impairments.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give a shout out to your mom's nonprofit?
Sure. They're called the VIPs, Visually Impaired Persons Support, and they're in Modesto, California. So if you're in Stanislaus County, you can be served by them. They do some amazing, amazing work and training.
If you'll send me the website for them, we'll be sure to mention them as well
Sure.
in our show notes.
And I am actually singing at their gala this June. So
very nice. What a whole new meaning to Ose can you see?
Yes.
Tell me, what should listeners learn from your life?
I hope they learn to be authentic. I just think it's so important. I see so many people that are just trying to be like everybody else. And I see this with artists as well, performers. There's nothing about them that's unique that stands out, and so they just get kind of lost in the crowd because there really are a lot of independent artists out there. And so I think whatever career you're in, but especially as an artist, you need to find a way to bring your authentic self out and make that known to people. That's the only way that you're going to get fans. If you look like everybody else, then people will just pass you over.
I like that. If there's somebody listening out there that is hearing you say that and they're thinking about, she's really right and I'm not being authentic, where would you tell them to start for improving that?
I think you need to, first of all, maybe ask family and friends what about you they think is unique, or what stands out, or what do they really like about you, or what do they really like, if you're a performer, what do they really like about your songs or your performance? What do they think? Because a lot of times you cannot see your own self. Other people have a much better view of who you are because you're so inside your own head, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think they will give you things that you'll have never thought of. And then you'll say, well, I guess I am kind of, and try to think about things that are important to you that are maybe outside of your music career. Like, what causes are you really important? I know some musicians that are really, really focused on trying to help animals, and the other ones that are really focused on adoption. That's their thing. And other ones that are really focused on trying to help people in domestic abuse situations. And that's another way that you can be unique, because you can kind of have a niche of that is your cause, your support, and then there are a lot of things around that you can align yourself with.
So be true to your own loves and interests.
Yes, and don't be afraid to broadcast those.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. What is the best way for people to connect with you?
Well, I'm really excited to say that I have a new podcast and website that should just have been released when this is out. It's called Female Entrepreneur Musician, and it is to help, obviously, female musicians with the business side of their music career. And so that would be at femusician.com. also Femme Musician, however you want to say that, femusician.com. You can hear our podcast episodes, which are going to be some solo shows by me with some helpful hints for the music career, as well as some interviews with some artists that have been successful, which I think will be really enlightening. And then also the website will have a lot of great resources, ways to get in touch with me, and some new courses that I'm developing to help musicians.
That sounds like a great new venture.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Will we hear mostly indie singers on your new podcast, or will we hear some famous folks on there as well? Or
well, there'll be indies, but there'll also be some people that I call kind of fringe indies. They're like, maybe they're with an indie label, and you may have actually heard of them. So I'm looking to get people that have really kind of made a full-time career out of music and to talk about what they've done to get there, because there's so many that want to do that and just need the tools and need the inspiration.
Very valuable programming. And you mentioned that you have children. I have a daughter who just turned 10, and on her behalf, I have to ask you, because it's her favorite show, what do you think of The Voice?
Oh, my gosh. We love The Voice. I'm a personal huge fan of Adam Levine. I can't help myself. He's pretty darn good looking, great voice, all that stuff. But it's just entertaining. I mean, I love the way the coaches work with the artists. And, you know, my daughter's completely addicted to it, too. So we're always watching it whenever it's on, and I'm recording it. And there's so many talented people on there. There's been a few people from Women of Substance that have been on The Voice or American Idol. But I'm amazed at how many people are on there that I've never heard of. And I'm in touch with a lot of independent artists. And, you know, there's just
and people that are very talented.
Yes,
very
really talented.
Well, any chance we'll see you on The Voice someday?
No. I'm pretty much over the whole I want to be famous thing. That was kind of the first 10 years of my music career, and I'm pretty much over that. I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with the audience that I have and serving them, and I don't feel like I need to be famous. But boy, it was fun to sing for 60,000 people at Dodger Stadium, to win awards. That's all really fun. But I don't feel like that's part of my purpose anymore.
I see. Well, thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we close?
It's been great. I love being able to share this stuff, and I hope it helps people. And I'd love to get in touch with any musicians that feel like they need some help with their career, and especially the business side. A lot of musicians are really daunted by that. But at femusician.com, I have a free resource that will help you with some maybe untapped streams of income that you haven't thought of to boost your career. So check that out.
I love that. And I love that your recommendations are universal. Even though you're speaking to musicians, the advice to be authentic and share your authentic voice crosses many industries and is true for most of us. So thank you for all of your wisdom and spending time with us today.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast, today with Bree Noble. If you'd like more information about how to find your own life purpose, please visit me at lifepurposeadvisor.com and take advantage of our free self-study for finding your life purpose. We hope that you'll return and listen to us again, and we'll see you next time.